Hi, everyone enrolled in one of my classes for fall 2022. Um, the web-based classes, at least, I put up this little introductory video. I think it's difficult sometimes for some of us to take an online class. I know I've taken online classes, and there's a bit of a disconnect. There's lack of a sense of community, and it's even more difficult when you don't know the instructor, his or her personality or expectations of a class, other than what's in the syllabus and what's in the course content material. And sometimes that can be a bit vague and troubling. And so sometimes I personally like to know when I have an instructor, who are they and some sense of connection. So I put up this little video every semester by way of introduction, who I am and what my goals are, my intent, and sort of my philosophy of teaching. Um, with that being said, I'm Jim Corman, so you have me for either this semester on the web. I have Intro to Law, which I haven't taught in quite some time. It's one of my favorites. I have Political Science, American Government, which I teach almost every semester, and I have Family Law, which I teach usually every other semester. I think that's all I have online this semester. If I missed one, I'm sorry, but it'll be up there. This little video of introduction. I live down in Brimfield, Mass. It's not quite central Mass, but it's right on the edge of Hampden County and Worcester County. I was recently living in Sturbridge, Mass, for a number of years, but I grew up out in Springfield, Mass. Uh, I have 7 kids. They range in age from, I should know, 17 to 26. Uh, and I just drew a blank. I can't remember the names. But anyways, I got 7 kids, 2 dogs, 2 cats, the whole traditional type uh, structure of a house, I guess you could say. Um, I got my start at a community college, just like many of you are in right now, a sister institution from Mount Wachusett Community College called Springfield Technical Community College. And that's what I'm going to stress in a second. Some of you heard this kind of spiel. I put it out every semester, something similar to this. Um, and after I left Springfield Technical Community College with an associate's in criminal justice, I went on to Springfield College, and I ended up graduating from Springfield College. But I left Springfield College for UMass for a year, and I took summer classes down at the University of Connecticut because I don't live too far from there, and so I used to commute down in the summer when I had a summer job and take some classes to try to get ahead of the game. And then I ultimately went to Western New England Law School, where I earned my Juris Doctorate, which is my law degree, and then passed the Massachusetts bar and became a practicing attorney. But let's go back to STIC, Springfield Technical Community College. That's kind of the crux of what I want to talk about. When I went to Springfield Technical Community College, I enrolled literally the day before classes started. I never felt I was college material. I didn't think I was smart enough for college. It didn't seem like it was for me. I have a poster up here. I'd show it to you, but I got all my son's laundry sitting in front of it, so it looks awful. But it's a poster of my grandfather's plumbing practice from 1954. And my dad was a plumber. My grandfather was a plumber. And I thought I'd be a plumber too. And so when I graduated from high school, I was waiting to get into an apprenticeship program. I wasn't old enough to get into it at the time, so it was sort of a waiting game. And my father always believed in education, although not educated himself beyond high school and trade school. Uh, Wanted me to become more well-rounded, go to school, go to STIC. So that's what we called SDCC, STIC. I went down, enrolled for classes, and I was given a lot of freedom, so I signed up for all the classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5 classes. Thought that would be a great idea. It turned out to be an awful idea for me because when I left on Thursday, I'd be completely burnt out from receiving, tons of information, tons of work. So Thursdays I'd come home and just, decompressed, and Fridays I'd take off and goof off, and when the weekend come around, I wasn't motivated. I would try to do almost all the homework assignments and readings on Sunday nights and into Mondays, and it became overwhelming. It was a pretty bad experience. And I felt very alone there. I didn't have any friends there. I didn't feel connected to it. And you'd like to think at a community college you'd be part of the community. Well, I wasn't. I tend to be a very shy person, very want to keep to myself. I hate, still do, group activities and the like. And I felt very, very lost while I was in that first semester. And I think I've told this story to many of you before. I took an exam in anthropology. I'll never forget it. Uh, and I did okay, I guess. I got like a C on it or something like that in the 70s. But I remember there's a whole stretch of questions that I were like foreign to me. I never missed a day of class. I thought I was studying the textbook pretty well. And the professor at the end of class, um, let's just say, for lack of a better way of saying it, I didn't think this professor was exactly approachable or very warm. And but I went up to her because she said, "Hey, 15 minutes of class. We're going to leave early, but you can come up and discuss your exams with me." And I said, "Well, I'm going to try to be brave and go do it." And I was in line with maybe or surrounding this professor with maybe 10 students who were curious about their grade too. And I said, I did well in these other sections, but this one section, I just really was guessing. I didn't know the answers. And I remember her looking at me and says, "Oh, that came from the suggested readings. If you look in your syllabus, sometimes you'll see a professor say this is a required textbook, but these are suggested readings that would, I guess, augment or help you understand the content of the semester." And I wasn't trying to be rude or offensive, but I said, "Well, geez, why aren't they required? If they were required, I would have read them. I suggested, thought it was just that." I always remember her saying, maybe just trying to be funny. I didn't take it as very humorous, but she says, "Next time a professor suggests something, perhaps you should heed their advice." And the students around her laughed, and I tried to politely laugh, but I was humiliated and felt hurt, for lack of a better way of saying it. So I remember leaving that class and going to my sociology class, which I kind of liked, and I liked the professor. I thought he was engaging and interesting class. And I remember him saying, "Hey, don't forget next week your rough drafts are due on your paper." And that's all that was really talked about the paper. I never wrote a paper in high school. None that I can remember. Never did a bibliography. I didn't know about credible sources. I didn't know anything. That's why I was in college, I thought. And I was very intimidated by that. I was like, oh, geez, we're picking a topic related to the different topics that were covered in the course of the semester up until that point. This was like early November. And I felt very intimidated and lost by it. And, I didn't have the courage to ask him for some clarity. What's this paper all about? How do I write it? How do I find sources? I didn't know any of those things. I hadn't done very much library research in my high school. It was very green in terms of educational independence, for lack of a better way of saying it. So I left there that day feeling very disillusioned. And lo and behold, it was a Thursday afternoon, and I got sick as a dog. I got the flu. It must have been the flu. I don't know. I didn't get diagnosed, but I was so sick. And the sickness went all the way into next week, and I missed the entire next week of school. The next Tuesday and Thursday classes I missed. That was before emails. Most of the syllabus the faculty had given us didn't really outline with specifics what was expected of those times and weeks. So if you were out, you wouldn't know what work to do. And I felt like I was so far behind, so far lost. And I was thinking, I'm going to be a plumber. Why do I need to know anthropology and sociology? Math I could see as useful. I had a math course. I had English Comp, which at the time I didn't see any use for, but it does help you learn how to read, write, comprehend written language. But I just didn't see the connection. And I felt very much alone. I felt very much like I didn't belong there. I didn't belong in college. And it was a really crappy feeling, I can tell you. Uh, and I went off and I went over to the mail that Friday or Saturday in the mail. We used to get snail mail, traditional mail in the mailbox. And it was enrolling for the spring semester, but it was also reminders of things that were coming up, final exams, and the last day you could withdraw from classes, which was the following Monday. And I just had this epiphany, and dawned on me like a lightning bolt. I'm going to withdraw from all 5 of my classes so I don't get a grade because things were starting to fall apart in my mind. I didn't belong. I didn't feel like I was really wanted there. I felt alienated, and I felt not too smart. So Monday morning, I remember driving down in my Galaxie 500, as big as a boat. I drove down. Um, Big plumes of smoke would come out of the back because I had a blown head gasket. Smoke was everywhere. I grew up in a very modest family, all these adventures. So I drove down the stick and I withdrew from every one of my classes, and I felt great for about a day or two. I felt very good that the monkey was off the back. I was out of a place that I wasn't wanted. I didn't belong, and I certainly wasn't smart enough because I wasn't college material. And but then it all kind of came as a tidal wave shortly thereafter. I can remember my father. He always just had a way of kind of seeing through me. And I remember looking at me and saying, "Hey, what's going on? What's bothering you?" I said, I dropped out of school. I want to be a plumber. School wasn't for me." And he was very supportive, but at the same time, I could read in him. Uh, he felt bad for me, and that really, really troubled me. And then a couple of weeks later, my buddies who went off to college and buddies who didn't, we all got together around Thanksgiving break. What's the first question that comes up? How's college going? And he said, "Oh, geez, it wasn't for me. And I dropped out." And man, I felt worse and worse and worse about it. I was filled with so much self doubt and really regret. And I felt that way for several months. And then I can remember kind of the Mount has them too. I think these 7.5 week courses that come out in the flyer. And it was, I don't know if they call them mini semesters, concentrated, accelerated semesters. And I saw one that was available at night. That was English Comp 1. That course, for some reason, was always intriguing to me. I always wanted to be a better writer on some level as a kid. I don't know why. And so I took it, and it was hard for me to go. It was hard for me to enroll and take the class and show for class. It was very intimidating, but I struggled through it. Had a good professor, and I got a very decent grade. I got my transcript somewhere. I was just looking at it for the other day. I see the W's from the first semester, and I see that one class, the mini spring semester. It was a B or B minus, but it was a B or B minus that I was really kind of pleased with because I felt that the teacher was no lightweight in terms of a high bar and worked us very hard. And she asked me to come take a class with her come the summer. And I did. I followed her. And not that English was ever going to be my major, but I thought she was good. I was learning a lot. And then I stuck with it and I kept going and going and going. But I've always felt this sense that I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, and I'm intimidated by assignments and writing and expectations. And why I share that story with you is I know a lot of you probably feel the same way, especially in this fall semester. You might be new to college, might be in a new experience. Maybe you've quit before and you're trying to make a comeback. Maybe you've never gone and you don't think you belong. And then there's the whole, maybe you don't feel it, but I felt it, the stigma of going to a community college. Now, of all the colleges I went to, Springfield College, UMass, University of Connecticut, Western Women Law School, and I went later, after I got my law degree, I went and got a master's degree. I forgot all about it at Worcester State, history. Um, of all of them, the one that's most important to me is Springfield Technical Community College. I was both a failure there, the year I quit, and also a success going back and finishing. It took me 4 years in total to get my associate's degree. It really took, well, the 1 year was a dropout in one class, and then I took a year of general studies and 2 years of criminal justice, even though I had no intention to be a police officer, but the topic interested me in reading. So my point is about you might feel very much alone during the course of your time at the Mount. You also might feel confused, you might feel lost, and you might feel intimidated by projects or assignments, or just feeling like you don't understand why this has any bearing on my life. Well, I can tell you about all the coursework I've taken. I've taken classes that have been pretty esoteric. They're out there. I don't see what it bears in my career as a lawyer or a professor or whatever it is that I do. But it helped me gain coping skills. It helped me gain critical thinking skills. It helped me improve my reading. It helped me improve my writing. All of those things have some intrinsic value in it. So if along the way you feel lost, reach out to me, reach out to the faculty that you have that are, other than me, obviously, but also think about academic support services at the Mount. There's plenty of them. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know what the heck is going on, or I'm having trouble navigating through Blackboard, or I don't understand what's expected of me in this writing assignment. I'll help clarify that stuff for you if it's for my class. And even if it's for not for my class, don't be afraid to reach out. I can steer you in the right direction. If you need to learn how to write better paragraph structures for writing papers, we have a writing center at the Mount. That's fantastic. Um, Same with math. A lot of my students that are legal study major students struggle with math. I've had students go from an F in statistics to an A in statistics because they finally tapped into some supportive services. And the supportive services aren't to do the work for you. They're to help you have a second set of eyes and ears on how statistical analysis and structures work. It's new to you, it's foreign to you, it's challenging, and you'll get through it with the support you can get there. And I truly believe in it because some people say, oh, you overcame it, came back, it's like a Rocky Balboa. No, it's not. It was a failure. I don't want you to do that. So my point is, if you do feel that maybe it's not for you, and it's after the withdrawal period, finish out the semester, stick it out. You'd be surprised. My daughter, who's just turned 26, she's been a major in I don't know how many different. She's nearly got a degree in mathematics right now. She nearly has a degree in American Sign Language, but she never dropped out. She kind of kept moving and changing, and she's finally found her passion, which is a little bit strange, but it's in. I actually have a major She's actually going to my alma mater, Springfield College. Uh, Recreational management, and I don't know what else it stands for, but she's running, or she's an assistant director of a camp that runs you around and does multiple functions and stuff. So she's going to ultimately get her degree in that. But if you keep plugging along, because you don't know where you're going or why you're doing it, you'll be surprised how it'll pay off in the end. And I want you to stick to it. And I want you to know you have an ally in it. I have a big ego. It's fragile, but it's big. And if you want to feed that ego, let me help you do well. Because when you do well, I feel really good about things in a course this semester. I think all your faculty, I know most of them probably, I think we're all pretty much approachable. We're there because we want to be there. We want to help students succeed. Um, you don't get remembered by the failures, you get remembered by the successes. So what you do is you learn from your failures and you seek help and you seek support through the process. And I want you to know I'm there. Other than that, I'm also a practicing lawyer, if you didn't know, and in terms of hobbies and stuff like that. It's like, what's this guy really about? Obviously, if you can't pick up behind me, I collect political memorabilia. I'm kind of a political junkie too. I often fantasize about running for office. I have run for office in the past. I was a selectman in the town of Sturbridge, or second person to sound more appropriate. Uh, I was the president of the Bar Association down in my neck of the woods at one time. I don't know why I like this stuff so much, but I do. I've always had since a little kid, and that helped evolve into a passion for law because it's all interrelated, in my opinion. Uh, and so I love collecting political memorabilia, and I love following not the hatred in politics, but the power and the characters and the lawmaking process I find very interesting. Other than that, it's just I practice law a lot. I do a lot of criminal defense now. I did almost everything before. So those of you that are family law, I've done a lot of divorce work. I don't. I have taught real estate and litigation. I've done those things too. Mostly now I do criminal defense work, simply because there's a beginning and a middle and an end that's much more defined than many other areas of practice. And I do that mostly in Worcester County, but I do it all over the state. I don't know. That's it about me. I'm pretty much just a regular, very average human being. Um, and I want you to know the college is for you too. If you have the ability to enroll and sign up for a class, you have the ability to do well. You really do. And I'm not saying it because I don't get any extra money or anything like that. I don't get extra money if you stay or you leave. Um, but I just want you to know, as a human being, it's a benefit you'll receive through education, however you get it. You should be lifelong learners. We all are. We all should be, improving through education. So welcome aboard. I hope that didn't bore you to death. Many of you already saw something similar, probably from previous semesters, because I put something up like this to kind of personalize the course for everybody. Get into the send me an introductory. Well, you can do that too, but just an email that you're enrolled. You have no current questions. Don't ever be afraid to raise a question. I've screwed up many times and put stuff in from past years that didn't belong. I've actually had coursework from one course and another course, and no one complains about it. And all of a sudden I realize, oh my God, the whole thing's a mess. How are they even coping with it? Don't be afraid to raise issues like that. I've actually had an assignment up that I put up, but I never put it up so the students could see it, and I'm wondering why no one's responding to it. So don't ever be afraid to reach out for any of that stuff. It helps me make a better course too. And other than that, I am approachable. I don't often, I know this sounds weird, especially as a lawyer, I don't often answer the phone until I know who it is. So, you call, you leave it, not always available either. So call it, but I do try to get back to you within 24 hours. And here's the other thing. One of my favorite Disney movies, The Absent-Minded Professor. If you send me an email and I say, oh, that's a simple thing, I'll let them know tomorrow. But because I know it's simple, it may not be on the forefront of my memory and concerns, and I'll forget about it. You're like, oh my God, you're waiting there dying to find out, well, I got kicked out of a quiz. Can I get it restarted or whatever? I'm like, oh yeah, sure. I'm thinking that to myself, but I never get to communicate it to you. Again, squeaky wheel gets oil. Don't be afraid to reach out multiple times. Give me my cell phone number, which is my business number, and also the mount and my email. Reach out and let's try to have a fun semester. And I truly mean that. If you feel less intimidated about the course, if you feel like you're just there to learn content and to become more knowledgeable about an area of your interest, and maybe even an elective that you have to take, but you don't really care that much about the course, but if you try to have a little bit of enjoyment through the process, the semester go by a little quicker and it'll be a little less painful. So otherwise, we'll see you folks later. Be well.